Hello, hello. Happy Sunday and welcome to the show. This is called the AD, where the A stands for Arthur and the D normally stands for Dan. But this weekend, Dan's unavailable, so we've brought on my lovely wife, Stephanie, who on my screen is over
Hello.
there. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I feel like D, maybe it's like, dang, that's my hot wife or something,
Yeah,
instead
something.
of Dan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll go with that. We'll go with that. So, welcome everybody. Today we're going to be, Stephanie and I'll be catching up a little bit, and then we're going to bring on our friend Sam, who's Time on Her Hands on Instagram and works for David Carpenter Watches over in the UK. So we'll be talking a little bit about working in the industry, the used market, and she's just a generally cool and interesting person. So we'll be catching up with that. Cool. Let's say hi to some of our friends in the chat here. Let's see. Gigi, Time to Talk Watches is on. Hi, Andrew, DC Watches. That's our friend Max. Terry's here. So good to see you all. So Stephanie, what's new with you in the world of watches?
I don't know. It feels kind of funny that you're downstairs in the basement and I'm upstairs and we're having a
It's
conversation.
true. It's true.
Whatever. No, it's good. I mean, for everybody, we just got back from a 3-week trip to the beach, which was really nice, and now it's all cold up here. But I'm wearing my Zenith, which I did not take on the trip with me and missed a lot. So happy to have that back.
Cool.
Um, and then in the world of watches, you got a watch and I got
I
super
did
jealous. So I bought the same thing, but in a
on the
different
same
color
day. That's
on the
right.
same day. Do you have yours with you?
I do. I do. This
Okay.
is my new G-Shock something GW2110 ET, I think. It's the gray earth tone model Casio. And you got one too.
Yeah, I got a red one, which makes me think of in Star Wars, what's the episode with the red knights? Like the red,
Oh, I think it was The Last Jedi. The
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever
It's
those are called, that's what I think this one should be nicknamed.
cool. I
Um,
Yeah, the Emperor's Royal Guard, I think, are the
yeah.
dudes
Well,
in
that
red.
doesn't roll
Yeah.
off the tongue, but anyway, I think it's really cool. But we saw some differences between the two. So,
Yeah, that's
they're
been
not exactly the same.
the handset is actually slightly different.
Yeah.
Um, and then
The
you've got
bracelet feels a little different.
yeah, the actual texture of the rubber feels a bit different, so that's
Yeah.
cool. You kind of stole my thunder there. That's my watch news as well.
Sorry.
Getting the Casio. But yeah, cool. Anything else on the radar for you?
Not watches, but I just, while we were talking ahead of this, we just had a rocket launch that worked. So
Oh,
there's
nice.
another mission going on to the space station for the unnamed company I work for. But
Figure
it's
it out.
exciting and it worked and it's great. Yeah. So I guess I
Yeah,
should have ordered my Speedy today, but I had my Speedy with me in Florida and I really missed my Zenith, so that's getting wrist time now.
yeah, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Well, how does it feel to have, for those that don't know, Stephanie started her watch internet chat show career on Hodinkee. As I
And I've
think,
devolved to this.
yes, that's right. So thank you for stooping low enough to join us here. Um, I think you were the second woman on Hodinkee, like 1 week after the first, right?
Yeah, Stella, her name is escaping me. She's the editor at Town and Country. She was on first, but it was fun. I mean, Stephen Pulverin and Jack were really nice. Jack is has this encyclopedic knowledge of all things, not just watches, but totally geeked out on space stuff and surpassed me in a lot of areas. But it was fun, and I feel like it opened up a lot of friendships with watch people that I wouldn't have otherwise had. And I think you've gotten more into it since
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
did that, which is great. So it's a fun shared hobby. I really like that we both talk about it. We probably talk about it too much. I feel like 9 times out of 10, before we go to sleep, all we're doing is sharing pictures of watches back and forth to each other. So very romantic.
Yeah, right.
It's
This is our
good.
life. This is our life.
Yeah.
Gigi agrees that this is definitely a step down for you.
Yeah.
Uh,
But Arthur, I need to do some Christmas shopping. I got some for you, but I got some good ideas on your last episode with Dan. But I actually don't know exactly what's the next watch you want. You talk about all
uh,
these different ones, but if I had to pin you down today, what's the next watch you want? What is it?
It would be the Rolex GMT Pepsi. It would have to be.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Whenever
I
it's
can't,
ready, whenever Karan comes
all right,
through.
Karan, call me before you call him so I can get it for him or something.
And I'm also trying to get a Snoopy from him. So really, I probably shouldn't go get something else because I'm trying to get my act together on those.
That's great.
I know that's not helpful, but
no, it's not at all. Okay, well, you'll see what you get for Christmas then.
My buddy Watch Medicine here is helping me out as well.
Oh yeah, overseas blue. Okay, yeah. Budget's a little out there. This was a terrible question to ask.
Yeah. I think you've got some fans already. Dan's gonna have a hard return to the show after this. So that's cool. Well, shall we introduce our guest today?
Yeah, let's bring her on.
Okay, cool. So let's see. Here she is. Hey Sam, how's it going?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good. Do you want to just say hello, who you are, and how we know you? We can tell a little story there, perhaps.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Sam. Time in a Hands on Instagram. Over in Kent in the UK. We met at Red Bar, New York.
That's right.
That's right. September 19.
Specifically, I think I was about 3 whiskeys in when we met at an Oris event, which there is some terrible photographic evidence of. But I feel like I think that was like the moment we met you and a lot of the UK folks. But that whole weekend was so fun. It was great.
I think I just started following you on Instagram, and I think it was sort of a bit starstruck, like, oh my God, I know these people.
Yeah. It's funny because I also had the same feeling. It's like, I was like, oh, there she is, time on her hands, and it's like as though you're like some sort of minor celebrity. And I think everybody had a bit of that same feeling mutually. It's like we needed name tags with that Instagram handles better. Yeah.
And also in a room full of quite a few men, it was nice to see like another woman and one that I recognize.
I remember we had chatted a little bit, but I was so disappointed that Red Bar got canceled this year. We were really looking forward to coming to London for that. So.
I had my flag ready. I was going to be like touring everyone around London, like boutique. Follow me.
We had actually like a couple of years. Usually Arthur and I take a Christmas trip, and one year we went to London, one year we went to Paris, but we do at least like a day or two that's like just watch dedicated stuff. And we had a really fun time. I guess it was December 2018 in London, like this was still like early on in our hobby stuff, but there's so many great watch places to go, and everybody just couldn't have been nicer. It was great.
Hopefully next year we'll get you back over. We'll do it again then. That would be fun.
One of my favorite things from that trip is we went into the Longa store on Bond Street, which like we walked in like jeans and sweaters, and like obviously we're not buying a Longa, but they let us play with everything, which was really fun and nice. But they gave Arthur a book and they put it in a Longa bag. And then like I wanted to go look in like Chanel and Cartier and all these stores, and we were treated like royalty. We were like champagne everywhere.
My favorite
Bond Street.
My favorite part was going into the Chanel boutique, and you asked to try on the boyfriend skeleton, that like really beautiful skeletonized watch, and I think they said something like, "Sir has a nice watch. Would Madam like to try something?" And you were like, "Yeah, sure."
Yes, Madam would.
Do you know what watches you're wearing on your wrist?
I think I had my Explorer on.
I don't remember. I think
I
had
your Speedy.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Speedy's a good one because they're like, this guy could have any sort of budget and be wearing a Speedy. That's pretty legit.
Yeah. That's fine. Actually, quick flash to New York. We went into, I was with like the Red Bar London guys, and we went into the Swatch shop in Times Square.
Nice.
I think he spotted the 2 days. One of the days had his Snoopy on, and the manager was like, "Oh my God, Snoopy, like amazing!" And then Perth had his FP Jean, and he was like, "Oh my God, FP Jean, like what's going on? Here are these people that have just walked into my Swatch boutique.
And why are you in Swatch?"
Yeah. Exactly. He was like his absolute watch enthusiast. And then yeah, we were like, oh yeah, we're over here for an event. He was like, how many of you are there? And I was like, oh, from London, there's us a lot. And I said, oh, our friend Adrian's like at the accommodation still. He was like, Adrian from Bark and Jack. Oh my god, that's amazing. He's in New York. And like, this guy was absolutely like, yeah, like absolute fan. But
I think that weekend must have been particularly weird for Adrian, because I think he was just starting to be pretty well known, at least in that group. And yeah, that must be strange.
Yeah. We thought it was weird when we like people recognized us. For him, it was just another level.
For sure. So why don't we go ahead and do a wristwatch check? I realized I didn't show what I was wearing, but Sam, do you want to start off?
Yeah. So I am wearing my let's get the camera the wrong way around. Bremont Alt 1C polished white.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it.
That's cool. Stephanie, you already showed yours, but why not?
But I'll show it again because it's looking like really blingy in the sunlight, and I love it. So, Sam, actually, when I saw your Zenith at Red Bar, that was like the first Zenith I had really seen, and like started me down a rabbit hole. And I love this watch so much. Like, not that I need to wear diamonds on a regular basis, but like, you know, yoga pants and slippers and diamonds. I don't care. I'm doing it. So
that's the COVID lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wearing my Longines Avigation Big Eye, their heritage sort of aviation chronograph. So
nice.
Cool.
That's kind of matching.
Yeah, right.
I know it's chronograph time. I would have put on my speedy. But...
In the theme. So Sam, do you want to start off telling everybody a bit about what you do professionally?
Yeah. So I've been in the watch industry for 14 years, although I'm definitely not old enough. I've been working for 14 years.
Starting at the age of 10. Hard, right?
My parents put me out to work. I moved to Tunbridge Wells, where I live now. I needed a job, so I went to a recruitment agent, and they got me a job at Breitling in the customer service department. Answering the phone. I mean, Breitling customers are the worst.
They're the worst. They're terrible. God.
We normally have one of those on the show.
I can't believe you're like a friend with one of those, Arthur. Jesus.
Like the grumpiest. So, I mean, that was great training for me. So I worked in customer service, then moved over to look after it was the service centre that I worked for. So all the repairs in the UK went back to that service centre. And then moved over to the parts department, to the service centre, sort of managed 2 guys there, and then sort of looked after kind of operations and working with watchmakers and what do you need to get this job done, and what do we need to prioritise, and all of that kind of stuff. And then kind of like everyone gets to a point, I guess, with a company change of management and, you know, big Swiss company, this is how we do it in Switzerland kind of thing. Fancy the change, so I went the other direction and went up to Henley and worked for Bremont. Which is
nice.
Good, nice little independent, independent, but at the time it was a lot smaller.
I'm sure.
So it was, working alongside Nick and Giles was great. I still absolutely love them, love the company. So I went up there and managed sort of stock and operations up there too.
How many people worked for Bremont when you were there? I mean, I don't even have a good sense of the size today, but was that a small team?
So probably started off with 3 sort of trained watchmakers and maybe 8 to 10 sort of assemblers. So, you know, movers would come in, parts would come in, put it all together. It was just me looking after spare parts at the beginning, and then there's a team of sort of 4, I think, when we left. So it grew. It probably sort of doubled in size in the sort of 3 years that I was there.
Wow, cool.
If I went there now, I probably wouldn't recognise anyone. So spent 3 years there, and then I missed Tunbridge Wells, so I wanted to move back to Kent. So moved back, and then got a job with David Carpenter. So I knew David from Breitling. So he started 6 months after I did, so I've known him for 14 years. And he was the workshop manager. Well, he sort of trained as a watchmaker and worked his way up to his workshop manager. And he left and set up his own company. So again, that's quite small. When I started, it was just him and another watchmaker, and then I came in to sort of answer the phones. And then I've been there 3 years, and again, it's sort of grown in size, which is really exciting.
That's cool. So so what does David Carpenter watches as a store? What sort of stuff do you sell? What services do you offer? That sort of thing.
Yeah, so our last premises, which are a lot smaller, it was mainly a service centre. So we're an authorised service centre for Amiga, Longines, of all of the Swatch brands, Tag Heuer, but the watchmakers are trained to work on Rolex, Breitling, anything. So started off as a service centre, and then the shops that we've moved to now is bigger retail premises with the workshop upstairs. So we sell new Patina, Hamilton, U-boat, kind of think of them all now. Like Mr. Jones, Elliot Brown, and then we've got a fantastic brand coming in, which I probably should have checked if I could mention or not. I won't mention it.
It's okay if you can't.
I can. But like one of my favourite brands, and I'm so excited that we're going to be stocking them from like a couple of weeks' time.
Okay,
and
I have a guess, but I won't say. We'll keep people in suspense there.
I'll tell you after.
Yeah, cool.
And then pre-owned watches as well. So we see everything. It's like perfect job.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So I guess one of the things I was interested to ask is, what is it like working? So for me and Stephanie, and probably most people watching, we're hobbyists, right? And we have a passion for watches, but it's not the day job as well. So how does that change your perspective? I mean, it seems it's a hobby and a passion for you too, it seems. So like, what is it like? And is there sort of like a line between the work side of things and the hanging out with friends and treating it as a hobby? I mean, what's that like?
There are probably like three main differences, like to start off with. I think like the first one is like when I go to work, we're very lucky, it's quite busy. And I kind of work in the operation side of it. So I'm just always like, okay, watch is coming in, that watch is going to go there, that's going to go there, it's going to go there. And sometimes like a week can go by and I'll be like, I haven't actually sat and looked at a watch. Like, when you go to Red Bar, you go, oh, and someone shows you a watch, you go, oh my God, I love the hands on it. Oh, I love how it sits on my wrist. Like, right. Oh, tell me more about the story behind it. Whereas at work, it just tends to be whizzing through. So actually, sort of, since I went back last week, I was like, I'm actually going to try and take some time to, like, as the watches are passing through my hands, like, stop, look at them, which I like. So that's probably one part. And then I guess the other part, sometimes with Instagram as well, I can be like, watches at work, come home, Instagram, and then I get to a point where I'm like, okay, do I just like go and find something else to do? Whereas I think people that don't work in the industry, like their commute to work, they'll be like learning reference numbers and they'll be learning this, that, and the other. And sometimes they're like, I should probably do that. Have a little bit of a break.
I guess kind of along those lines, I mean, I think, since most of us are such hobbyists, but, space for me is a hobby and work, right? And a lot of my friends are in the space industry, and I love having like that social aspect of it. And I get a lot of questions of like, younger people who want to come and work in the space industry. What do you recommend? I'm gonna ask the same one to you of like folks who want to change careers or go into the watch industry. You didn't have any formal training in watches, did you? This was all like, or do you have any advice for people who want to not just have this be a hobby, but also turn it into a job?
I didn't have any training at all. And if anything, I did 6 years at Breitling, 3 years at Bremont. So first 9 years, I only
That's like a PhD.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, I only knew those brands. I was really blinkered. So it's only when I started working with David Carpenter 3 years ago that I was like, oh, actually, I need to learn about Amiga watches. I've never dealt with Amiga watches. So I guess sort of a recommendation, it would be if you can work for a multi-brand company, that would be sort of a good start, because then you're constantly dealing with everything. And yeah, I mean, I guess there are different people suited to different roles, but anything that's kind of customer facing, a bit like, when you go to watch events, you're talking to customers and you're saying, tell me your story, and that sort of, I think that's nice part of it as well. So, yeah, technical knowledge can come later.
Yeah.
So I have a question kind of about like, this probably pertains exactly to your day job, but a lot of the watches that I look like, I would almost put in that neo vintage category that Arthur and Dan had their show with Max on a couple of weeks ago. Like my Explorer, mid 2000s, early 2000s, I love it. I bought it from a reputable dealer. It was supposedly serviced when I got it. How do I know when I should take it in for servicing? Like, it's keeping generally good time, but it's also been a few years. I'm not really sure it's waterproof anymore. Like, how do you know? Should you put your watches on a regular schedule? Should you wait for something to go wrong? I have not built budgeting I have not budgeted servicing into my watch collection, which is a terrible idea. So what's your advice for service schedules?
I mean, when you think of the price of a watch and buying a watch, you don't always think about the servicing cost on top. Probably would say Rolex and Omega, not sounding biased, but there's the customers that come in and you find it more than any other brand. They say, oh, the brand says I should get it serviced every 4 to 6 years. I've had it 8 to 10 years. Should I get it serviced? It's always Rolex and Omega, and you're like, fantastic. You're doing, and even then they're like, it's working okay. Like, should I? So it is. I guess it is kind of dependent on your watch, how you wear it. 4 to 6 years. If you get into 6 years, I'd probably say drop it in. We offer like free of charge estimates. So you could always bring it in. We can put it on the machine, see how it's running. And you don't have to commit to paying, £400-600 to getting it serviced. The only thing that I probably would recommend is the water resistance, getting that checked. Again, a lot of places will either do a free check or for the price of a battery change, they'll check the water resistance. Because what you don't want is a watch that's working really well, but the water resistance fails, and then you end up having to pay for a service because of that.
Stephanie, I'm wondering about this, how a water resistance check is done.
Yeah, please tell me this, because I went to take my watch into like a local shop. It's a good dealer. I was like, I'd like to get it, pressure test. They're like, well, we put it in water to test if it's waterproof. I'm like, well, I don't know if it is or not. How is it actually done? I feel like as 2 engineers, Arthur and I should know this. No,
I mean, because we're an authorized Omega service center, we have to have the correct equipment. And part of that is a pressure chamber without any water. So it's just done on air. So I guess if there's some workshops that don't have that particular machine, then they just use the old fashioned water. So we put it in the machine, first of all, the whole watch in the airtight chamber, and it tests it on there's lots of different levels, but it does 2 tests on it. If, for example, it fails, what you can then do is take the movement out, which this shop may do, and then you can then put the sealed case minus the movement dial hands into a water pressure chamber, and then you can see where the air comes out, so you can see if it's leaking from the crystal or the crown. And that's kind of the 2 ways.
Interesting.
So you can kind of figure out what seal is the culprit if it's leaking, or that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. And there's some more videos of when the watchmakers do it, because it is quite interesting.
Right. Because Stephanie, your experience was going into like a random dealer here in DC and asking them to do it. And of course, as engineers, you and I wanted to know, like, how do they do it? Especially if they're doing it with water, it's like, great, it's not waterproof, and now the entire movement needs to be replaced.
I'm sure it would have been fine, but like they just weren't explaining it well. I felt like I was asking a dumb question, but I will take it in. I'll go to one of the folks that we know now through our Red Bar stuff and get it done. But I want to see if they'll let me watch it, because I think that would be fun to see.
I mean, the machine that we've got, when it's done with the air, you can't see it. It just kind of, the lid goes down. But you should be able to.
That's cool.
Get a tour of the workshop anyway.
That's
The ability to get like a free in-person estimate for the service, I think is pretty cool, because in my case recently, my Frederic Constant needs servicing, and I think there's like, in the US, there's probably only like 3 service centers that are authorized, and that's an in-house movement in mine. So I was contacted one of them, and they're like, okay, great, just ship the watch here, and then we'll tell you like how much it needs, what needs to be. Of course, I know you can't tell everything just from, especially at distance, but it's like, it sounds like a nice thing to be able to walk into your store and have a conversation with somebody,
I think, like, not to promote ourselves too much, but when there's a lot of like ADs that, in the nicest possible way, they're not watchmakers, and they don't, when watches come in, they know roughly, but they send it off to a service center. It's not often done on site. So when people come into us, they're sort of surrounded by people that know what they're talking about. In worst case, if it gets too technical, and I can just go upstairs, get the watchmaker, he can come down and explain it more. So
that's cool. That's really cool. So I guess if you're in the market for a used watch, is there, other than how it's running and if there's any service records, is there any other things that you would look out for in terms of knowing when a service might be coming, or, any tips for that for people?
I think if you're just buying it without taking the back off, it's quite difficult. If you get the chance to test it, overnight, set it, run it, test it, see what the power reserve is, that's always quite a sort of helpful tool. How the crown feels when it's winding, do all the functions work, date change and chronograph and things like that. Otherwise, it is difficult. I guess we're kind of spoiled a bit because we can just nip upstairs, take the back off and see exactly what's going on.
Right.
If you have a good watchmaker friend,
yeah,
you can do that.
Yeah, that's the proper way to do it, I guess.
I guess that the other thing, look out for any sort of like water damage on the dial. Quite often I'll go on like auction sites and you'll be like, oh my God, that Rolex or Breitling, whatever. I see it quite often with Breitling, but maybe it's I don't know what I'm looking for. But like, oh, that's really cheap. And then when you zoom in, it's got like water damage on the dial. Or I saw one where like the dial feet had broken and it was just misaligned slightly. So it's just little bits and pieces. But
you've got a trained eye for that now, I'm sure. I mean, that's something people can aspire to develop. Right.
A lot of watches gone through.
Yeah. Cool.
You're actually reminding me that I have a Universal Geneve that was my stepdad said he's given to me, but it looks like when it was serviced, I'm sure there was something wrong with the hands and someone put on replacement hands, and I'm dying to get it like fixed properly, like source the parts that are original to it, or at least as close as possible. So now I have like quite the watch servicing risk because I know my Explorer needs to be done, and I really want to get that done. So that's probably what I should focus on rather than a new watch purchase.
Yeah. There's a couple of people in the chat saying you never need to service a watch if you constantly sell and rotate them, which is another approach, I suppose. That's a different level, I guess.
One way to do it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I have I know you sell new, but also a little bit more on the vintage side. I feel like there's a really sweet spot for buying interesting models at a good price, whether it's neo vintage or older vintage, particularly for people with smaller wrists and women. Like I love your Zenith that you have. I think it's beautiful. Arthur, maybe you can pull up a picture.
Yes,
I think that's like a perfect example, but I'm wondering if you have ideas of like either just brands or particular models that you think are good for like the sub 7-inch, more like 6.5, 6-inch wrists that people should look at, maybe good deals or just really interesting pieces. I don't know, I'd love your thoughts on that.
I mean, I guess as a sort of women with smaller wrists, we are spoiled a little bit because the watch sizes, vintage watch sizes were that much smaller. So there's probably sort of more of a selection, whereas guys that wear slightly bigger watches, tiny wrist cake, I mean,
I know you don't shy away from wearing big watches. Like you have some great pieces that are on the big side. They look awesome on you. So
I think but then my Zenith is a bit smaller. I borrowed a couple from the shop. We had a lady's Reverso, rose gold Reverso, that was a lot smaller,
pretty
manual wind, and that's when I wore it I was like, oh, it's small, but I still loved it. I think the vintage watch has got so much character. I think my Zenith is a linen dial, love it.
It's so good.
And I think maybe because we get the customers coming in with their stories as well, I do get a bit sentimental. We're like, oh, this watch, I can't imagine what it's been through. And and also, like you say, kind of the servicing, you're bringing it back to life. You're making sure it's running well. It's going to be running for years to come, and kind of can carry on wearing it.
That's cool. Speaking of other watches you have, and Stephanie mentioned some larger ones too. I think of this as sort of like your signature thing. I don't know anyone else with them, but this is the Aquis with. Is it officially called the mint green dial, or is that just
it's
something
not?
I
They
made
just call
up?
it green.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know there's lots of reasons why I kind of got this watch, but one of the main ones, the first time I saw it was in New York, so it was that Oris event. So I'd loved Oris anyway beforehand, and then saw it at the event, fell in love with it, and then kind of undernard for a month or so, and then got it before I went on holiday. So, yeah, I love it.
It seems like a perfect holiday vacation watch. Like, you can have one watch to wear for like a 2-week holiday. It's good for, going to the beach or hiking around. I don't know. I think it's a great piece. It's really fun.
The first day, because I went to New Zealand with it, first day I went down to the beach. I was like, I need to get my watch shots. Like, I was standing like this, in the ocean with my watch, with my phone. It's a waterproof watch, it's fine. This wave just came over my phone. I was like,
your watch is fine, but maybe not your phone.
Yeah.
Like, it just survived.
That the resulting picture is probably somewhere in here, but
there's a couple of beachy.
Yeah.
It was last year, maybe a little bit further down. But yeah, a few
That's
fun.
I've been on the fence like multiple times of getting the bronze Oris with that green dial, with the mint green dial, because the color would look exactly the same as the patina, that it would be bronze too. I just have a hard time pulling a trigger on a bronze watch because I like figure out if that's like something I really love or it's just a trend. But if I was going to get a bronze watch, that's the one. And I think that like dial color is just really beautiful.
Yeah, I'm the same with bronze. I want to like it. I want to love it. When you see like Rolf's bronze with the patina, I love that. But yeah, I'm the same. I'm not quite there. But the new Fratello bronze,
that's beautiful.
Like that.
Yeah. And Ben is here talking about the greatness of bronze. The new Fratello Oris with that dark red dial. I'll actually pull up a picture of it. I think it's worth talking about. Perhaps.
Yeah, I want to see one of those in person.
So I'm like super excited for bronze and the patina. Like that's what I really love about it. So I would of course, being me, like try to figure out how to like speed up the patina process, right? And like I don't know, swim with it in the ocean a few times. I don't know what else you could do to like make it turn green faster.
Lemon cleans it. Ketchup. Yeah, ketchup makes it worse.
It's so good at Nevada ketchup. You're swimming in salt water. I don't know. It's really horrible for the watch.
It seems very wrong, but somehow the first thing to pop up was a Hodinkee article on the Fratello limited edition, so I opened it. But yeah, this is the one we're talking about. Hey, this is probably the closest I've gotten to buying something bronze. I think it's really beautiful. And Dave Sharp has got one of these. He was telling us about it on the Scottish Watches Live on Friday a little bit. What he said is that this ring here, the outer sort of chapter ring, is actually really nicely gilt, and it doesn't show up so well in all the photos, but looks great. I'm also kind of on the fence on bronze, but I know some of the folks here are big into it. I know Karan's got quite a few bronze watches, including the sort of like the king, which is, in my opinion, the Panerai Bronzo.
Actually, that's nice. One of the Red Bar London guys has got one. His photos of it are really cool.
And I think it was one of the earliest in modern bronze watches too. So anyway, I can talk about Panerai briefly without getting crap because Dan's here, so that's great.
Stephanie, are you tempted by a Panerai?
I am. Actually, the Panerai event at the Red Bar in New York, like I was never a fan of Panerai. I didn't really like it at all, and they had
and then they fed you some beer and barbecue and showed you some watches.
It is easy to get me to buy a watch, right? Like I'm a very cheap date, but no, I actually really like the Due, and I know like the Due is like it should be more waterproof. It's a little ridiculous, but I think the one that I really love is the smaller Due with the white dial, and it comes on like a I think base with like a tan leather strap. It's a little more expensive, so I would love for that one like to be out a few more years, hit the used market, because I think the price will likely drop. So I'm keeping an eye out for that. But Arthur and I do not share watches well. Like it's just it's best for a relationship to not share watches. But I would love to borrow his Panerai a little bit. Maybe now that it's like sweater weather and like I would have a sleeve protecting it, I'd be allowed. But
You could
This
have it
guy.
like over one sleeve and under another.
Yeah, I was actually like thinking of a marketing idea of, like 80s, 90s sweatbands, like the horrible like terry cloth sweatbands with like a clear thing. I feel like I need to invent that just so I can borrow Arthur's watches
Yeah,
wear
that
on
makes a lot of
occasion
sense.
and make sure that it won't get
Actually,
scratched.
Arthur, have you still got the bezel protector for it? Like the rubber bezel protector?
I do, but I'm not going to wear it with that. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's a really funny photo of Tom Cruise wearing a Panerai, and he still had the bezel protector on it. And there's a debate as to whether or not he knew if that was meant to come off. But,
that's cool.
Stephanie, I think there was an offer here when we mentioned the Bronzo. Look at this. Karan says he'll send it to you as long as you wear it. So I have a feeling that's probably me not wearing it and you wearing it.
Be careful. I'll take you up on that. And don't worry. While Arthur like thinks that I walk around wearing watches, like banging them against cinder blocks and like scraping them on concrete, that is not how I wear my watches. I just wear them and I enjoy them, and occasionally they get a little dinged up. But Karan, I would be very careful with any watch you sent me.
I guess you can't. Yeah, you can't polish bronze at all. So if you've got like a scratch, it's there.
It's a beauty mark. It's character,
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to like get rid of all patina if you. I wonder. Most bronze watches have that sort of matte finish. I wonder if it is polishable or not. It seems like it would just patina right over anyway, so people don't bother. I don't know.
Yeah, like I'm thinking if you actually, like a deep scratch. So if you were to remove like the material, whether you can then.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. Maybe there's some more knowledgeable bronze experts here. So I notice over time you're quite a fan of Oris on Scottish Watches Live. You tend to often pick their watches. I guess, what is it for you that draws you to the brand? What do you like about Oris?
I think it's kind of a bit sentimental. My first Red Bar event was an Oris event. I was so scared, and actually Ben Hodges was like pulled me aside and was like, "Oh, come and sit down, we'll have a chat." Like, welcome to Red Bar. It was really sweet. And yeah, so just sort of being in a room, seeing the watches, like them then. Actually, Rolf was at the first event as well, so sort of meeting Rolf, learning about the brand. They're independent. The price point, I think, is fantastic. When I was looking to get my Oris, I was also considering Black Bay 58, and I think it's like twice the price, but you can't see twice the difference, in quality. A few bits and pieces, but so it does everything I want to. I think that they kind of using the Solita. It's Solita. Yeah, it's Solita.
Yeah, I believe so.
No, it's not. Keeping that price point lower. Yes, they can experiment and they can use in-house movements, but it's kind of keeping it accessible. So people can kind of go in, and there's a nice range of watches there. And Oris there. Everyone loves Oris there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he loves us after after we met him in New York, but
it's a rough trip for him.
I do remember. I think it was at the virtual Red Bar Global this year. The Oris CEO, Rolf, is it?
Yeah.
Rolf was talking, and he said sort of, it's not an official motto necessarily, but that their philosophy was inclusive luxury as opposed to exclusive luxury. And I think that is one of the things that's, I think, just so appealing about them. They make so many cool watches, and they don't make them impossible to get, and they're priced at a good value too. So
yeah, and they just like all the good causes that they do. So the Watches for Heroes, I'm sure it's called that something that they did this year. They were just going to give away 10 watches for people that are working throughout the pandemic. So they gave away the 10, but they got so many recommendations that they end up giving away 50 watches.
Wow.
Wow. Just to say, people that were nominated that have just really gone through a tough time. But
what a cool thing to do. Yeah. I like their philanthropy and a lot of their limited editions that have sort of like a purpose or a charity in mind or whatever. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. Cool. Stephanie, you got any more questions on your end?
I was trying to think of some other things that I wanted to ask you. I don't know. I guess like, Arthur and I were both kind of nervous going to our first Red Bar DC event. And meeting people in the watch world. It sounds like you were a little intimidated going to your first Red Bar event. Now we've all quickly gotten over that because we all know everybody, and it's like the kindest, friendliest group of people that we've ever met. But I think there's a lot of people that are lurkers, right? And just like follow on Instagram. They maybe we'll chat with some folks. But any advice for like going to first watch meetups if we can ever do that again? Like,
I mean, definitely do it. I think I was like reading a book and it was like, do something today that scares you. And I was like, okay, if I was to do something, what would it be? And it was like, right, sign up for Red Bar. And then and I was like, never regretted it. I think if you do go, like make it known, like, and say you're following someone else on Instagram, maybe let them know that you're going and let them know it's your first time. Because what happens, I'll have messages from people that will be like, oh, I went to my first RedBar yesterday, but I didn't say hello to you. And I'm like, oh, like,
why?
Yeah. Like, I would have said hi back. Like, you're
a very intimidating celebrity, Sam.
Yeah.
Or you'll see people just sort of just standing, just looking a bit scared. And it's like, no, come on, join in. We're not scary. We're coming.
Right. You're all there because you like the same things. I mean,
yeah. And there's no, I mean, I'm sure it's the same over there, but there's no judgment. I mean, you can come, people think they have to have a Rolex to turn up. It's like, no, you can just bring, your dad's, Tissot or your Swatch watch, and it doesn't matter at all.
Right. Stephanie, that reminds me of something that happened. I think it was at Red Bar Global, the year we all met in person. Didn't some guy message you like 2 weeks later and was like, said he was too afraid to come say hello to you, but wanted to? I was a little bit funny, and then I was like, I think you might have a stalker. This is weird.
A watch stalker, yeah. I'm very intimidating. Yeah, clearly. Well, unrelated, Sam. What's next on your watch shopping list? I feel like I would have no self-control if I was in your position, where not only are you surrounded by like amazing new stock all day, but you see these watches come in and out, and in for repairs, and you must get infinite ideas. I'm at least like limited to whatever the Instagram algorithm feeds me. But yeah, what's on your list?
I kind of don't have a list. I am quite sort of reserved, that's the right word, but so I kind of, my Zenith was a case of it. It came in, it was meant, it was meant for my boss. He was meant to sell it, and I saw it and loved it. So, and the same as the Oris. So I think I'm just waiting to see something that I'm like, yes, this is it. We do have a Pepsi, 1999 Pepsi in stock, which allows. I'm not quite there. And actually, my boss David loves it as well, to the point where he's taken it out the window, put it in the safe because he doesn't actually want to sell it. I might try and work something out with him whereby we both sort of share it, and we just
that'd be fun.
Stopwatch that never actually goes in the window.
That would be cool.
I still probably like another vintage. If another vintage came in that was like, yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
Actually, I did pick up a vintage Timex that came in recently. Lady was just going to bin a load of watches, so I think she had like 30. So we had a rummage through, and then some of us, I took the Timex, and one of the other guys took something, and then we're going to put batteries in. A lot of them are just cheap and cheerful. So we're going to put batteries in them and then take them to charity shops.
Oh, that's fun. That's a good idea.
And we've given her some money for them. But so I've got this. Cool. I need to clean it up so I can start wearing it. But that's quite sweet.
Yeah, cool. It. By the way, it looks like we've got some Red Bar friends here saying hello. So that's good. That's cool. And a question actually from Ben about work. What's been busier at David Carpenter? Watches for servicing or watches for purchasing?
It's probably sort of the footfall is for servicing. Because I think probably a lot of people that they always need their watch to service, they always need sort of battery change. But the retail side has really picked up. So when we moved into our new shop 18 months ago, and it's we're advertised as an Amiga service centre, and you go to like Amiga website and things like that. So that's probably the main sort of footfall. But then once people are in the shop and our sort of team are really friendly and get chatting, and then they'll end up buying something.
That works well.
Yeah. So we probably, the retail that the brands we're getting in are just getting better. We've got sort of £150 Mr. Jones watches. If you haven't looked them up,
oh yeah,
those are fun. I think they're really neat. Yeah.
And then actually we just got some Arnold and Sons in last week as well. So yeah, we have a bit of everything.
Oh yeah, and actually, I think the thumbnail for this video is you wearing one of those Arnold and Sons, I believe, right? Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So we got that one in as a sort of a tester, and then we had 7 more arrive on Friday. So, yeah,
nice.
That'll be on the Instagram soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. So turning back to your collection for a minute, and I've got to ask the question. You know, of course, we talked about things coming through, what catches your eye realistically, but money, no object. What's sort of your I don't know. I guess I'll use the Grail watchword, but you know, what sort of interests you if you had no budget limitation at all?
My screen favorite work is the MB&F Flying T, little diamond. Yeah, I think it was sort of designed with women in mind, but it's not a typical women's watch. You know, it's a complicated.
There's nothing typical about that watch. It's just incredible. Yeah.
Is it the one with the diamonds all over the dial, or just on the edge?
Just on the edge. I mean, okay. I could take either.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
it's the
pull
classy version, you know, just around the edge.
Yeah, a little restraint, perhaps. Yeah.
I do love it. Like a lot of MB&F.
I particularly love the Legacy Machine ones as well. I think it's beautiful. It's cool.
Yeah.
Let's get this out of the way.
You could just
yeah, that's so cool. Gorgeous.
Who lost me now? Like,
yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Just take a moment.
I'd love to just go into there's Mad Gallery, I think, isn't it? One in Paris. Have you been to one in Paris?
No, I haven't. We haven't. We should go next time.
It's just toys, isn't it? It's just like little robo machines and things.
Oh, is that there's a shop in Paris that sells MB&F. It's on like one of the small side streets. Arthur, do you remember? It's across the street from the hotel that we stay in. They have MB&F in there.
Was it Chrono Passion? I think so. But their storefront window looks like vending machines of watches. It's like these rotating like pillars, and you would think they would be selling like Daniel Wellingtons and swatches. I don't know. But you walk by, you're like, oh my God. Like, and there's buttons on the outside of the window on the street, so you can control the towers, and they like rotate and show you different brands and stuff. It's pretty fun.
I would like one MB&F, please. Like,
for sure.
You shake it, does it come out?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's definitely going to scratch it anyway.
That's true. Be fine.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So, any questions from the chat for Sam or for Stephanie? I guess for that matter, it's you both not typically on the show, so.
Or MB&F Moser, yeah.
That's a guy in Red Bar DC got one of those actually. I haven't seen it in person yet because of COVID, but that's basically the main reason I need the pandemic to end so I can see that watch.
I know. Actually, we started Red Bar Southeast recently as well.
Oh, nice.
That will be exciting. But kind of, I usually go into London, so it just I mean, it's a little bit more local.
That's cool. So what area does that cover?
So kind of it'd be Kent and Sussex. So kind of if you follow the coast around the bottom, really. So different events all over the place. But that will be fun. It'd be nice to just because it's only recently started, so we haven't had any meetups. It'd be nice to see kind of who would get to come along to it. I mean,
that's good. That's good. Always good to have that closer to home too, so you don't always have to go into the city as well.
Yeah. It's not too bad. That's the only thing, because I would get the train back from London, whereas if it's kind of elsewhere, then I might have to drive. Which,
right. There's something key involved in Red Bar events that usually prevents driving. This is a question for you, Sam. Have you had the pleasure of not meeting Danny? Have you?
Yeah, No, I've not met him in person. I think he nearly came down. We had a Speedmaster that he was interested in, so he nearly came down, but then I think he ended up managing to get it from Amiga directly.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he's been to Red.
I think he's only been to Red Bar Bristol in terms of events too. So
no, looking forward to meeting him. I'm sure.
Yeah, that should be fun. That should be fun. Stephanie, this one's for you. Is that a JLC Atmos clock behind you?
I wish. No, that would be amazing. I would actually really like to learn more about like clocks. I think, my watch box is full. I probably don't need more things. Let's not be silly. I'm of course going to buy more watches. But no, this is a Seiko
world time clock, right? Yeah.
World time clock, and it was a gift, a wedding gift to my parents when they got married. They're divorced now, but I like the clock, so hung on to that. So like I found it in an attic when we were cleaning out a bunch of stuff, and thought it was really cool. And it's not working right now.
Yeah, I think it ran out of battery. It's a quartz. It's quartz. It's nothing mechanically complicated.
Yeah.
Or that cool, but it's fun.
I love it.
Let's see. Oh, we've got some feedback on you all being here.
Merlin, do you want to replace Dan? Yeah, Merlin wanted to come say hi.
I think you guys have been so popular today. Apparently, even I should be nervous that you're just going to take over the show.
It could be the SNS show, Steph and Sam.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Speaking of that may be worth hinting at something you're working on, Sam.
Yeah, so there may be more of my face on YouTube. I don't know if anyone needs that, but yeah, can't give too much away, but maybe another little show similar to this.
Yeah, on the same channel, I think. Maybe we'll see. Yeah.
Different time of the week, obviously.
Right.
Different setup. There might be some wine involved.
By the way, I have to say I loved the last Scottish Watches Live game show with everybody's gift guides. Sam, I liked your recommendation the best. That was my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, it was really fun. I had so much fun looking it all up, my little James Bond experience. I really want to do it. And I think
that'd be really great.
Yeah,
I'm really missing going to London. I live outside London and haven't had a reason really to go up there. So just putting together all these. Oh, I could go there, and I could go there.
Yeah, that you and Ralph both put in the real effort, and I think people would be most happy to receive those of all the ones. So what we're talking about, if you haven't seen it, it was Scottish Watches Live on Friday, the great gift game show, and we gave 4 different budgets and had people come forward with a watch and a gift to go with it. And some of the more creative ones, including Sam's, were a watch and an experience, which is pretty cool. So go check that one out too.
Yeah.
Sam, it looks like we've got one other question here for you. What's worse to deal with, a customer who knows absolutely nothing about watches or an obnoxious wannabe know-it-all?
They're very special in their own way. I mean, the one at the know-it-all, obviously they're passionate about watches, so you can talk about that. The one that winds me up the most, I've had it a couple of times, I've had it recently, is that I'll say something, especially if I'm in the shop, and they'll go, "Oh, okay, yeah, but I want to know what the man says." Like if I'm working with a male colleague, no, I do. Like I had it recently. My colleague was with another customer, and he is a scratched crystal that then turned into a crack. So I was just trying to explain that, obviously we do have to have the crystal replaced. We've got a photo of it coming in with scratch, blah, blah. And he was just, I spent 10 minutes talking to him, and then he was like, "Okay, yeah, but I want to see what he says."
Oh, jeez.
So that happens more often than I'd like. But,
that sounds like the worst kind of customer.
But yeah, I'm just here to answer the phone. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
I felt like a watch hero not long ago when my friend's, she's not listening, so it's okay. When my friend's Longines wasn't working, and it turned out it just wasn't wound. She was like, "I got to take it in for servicing." I'm like, "Let me take a look. Let me just take a look." And I'm like, "You're good to go."
Yeah. So, yeah, we get that. Actually, it's surprising how many people with automatic watches. So they buy them from the shop set them, they put them on, they never take them off for 4 years, and then, or they'll take them off and they'll be like, oh, my battery's gone. And it's like, no, you just got to wind it. Because they just don't, because they always wear it, they just don't understand. Or they take it off, but not enough for it to power down. And
Right. I know Dan witnessed one of those. He was sitting in the Omega boutique on Bond Street in London, I think, and someone came in with a Seamaster diver they'd bought and said the battery was dead. And then, God, let's hope it wasn't one with a sapphire case back too, because then it's just like next level.
Someone came in with an Oris with a I was across the shot, so I didn't see, but I assume it was a pointer date, so I assume it had an open case back. But yeah, she said the battery had gone. And I was like, not an Oris watch.
You should charge for battery change.
Yeah. Here's one for all three of us. Favorite watch sighting in the wild experience. Ooh.
I
have to think about this.
I think mine was again Red Bar, New York, going to Analog Shift with like a kid in a candy shop. Like all the cabinets were open. Did you guys go?
Yeah.
Just all the cabinets were open, and they're just like, pick up what you want. And so I think I tried the MB&F. There's I've completely forgotten what she's called. The watch designer that does the skulls.
Oh, Fiona Kruger.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Just all these watches that you would never see. Tiffany dials, and so that was probably my favorite.
That's cool. Stephanie, you've run into some cool ones in the course of your work, right?
I have. So there's a guy that I know through space stuff. He's an astronaut. And I haven't seen him.
Oh, a guy I know.
A
friend of mine.
And I saw that he was wearing an X-33, and I was like, Garrett, is that like your X-33 that you flew with? And he's like, oh yeah, you want to try it on? I'm like, obviously I want to try it on. Thank you very much. And he's like not a super watch guy. It's just like the watch that they handed him to wear, and he's been wearing it ever since, and like has a little bit of attachment to it. But that was just really cool to like actually, trying to watch that I've been in space, and like, he's a friend and I know him from work, and like that was pretty cool.
That's cool. We also were in a watch store around here and saw another astronaut, bringing in their Speedmaster for service, right?
Yeah, it was a Speedy Pro, and he was bringing in a service, and I won't like call him out, but he had like the record for the longest space station stay, and he was coming either to drop it off or to pick it up, and I'm like, oh my god, this watch servicing person has no idea. Like, this is not a regular Speedy Pro. This Speedy Pro has probably spent more time in space than any other Speedy ever in history. And he was just like taking it into the mall. Sorry, it's a great store, but like taking it to the mall store to get fixed. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen a ton in the wild of like really special stuff. I think one of the ones for some reason that sticks out in my mind was seeing 16570 Polar Explorer 2 just in an airport one time. I think it's the only time I've seen that particular watch in the wild on somebody else's wrist. You see them all over watch Instagram, but actually, subs and Speedmasters I see quite a few of around, but that one, it's the only time. It's just funny.
I tried to drop by a GMT off of a guy who sat next to me on a plane. He had a Coke GMT on. And I was like, that's a really amazing watch. He's like, oh, whatever. Like, I've been wearing it since college. Like, clearly didn't really care about it. I was like, I will give you money right now. Like, I will Venmo you like $6,000 for this watch. He's like, no, that's okay. But anyway, I really would have.
That was a little bit of a low ball offer there, Stephanie. You're trying to see what you could get away with it.
Didn't know what he had. And sitting on a plane, I gave him 2 free drink coupons. Like, I thought like $6,000 into, anyway, it didn't work.
Can I just wear it for the rest of the flight? Like,
yeah, please.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go anywhere.
I've got another one for you, Sam. Do people ever come in with sort of like family watches or things that they've inherited that they don't know how special a watch they have? Has that ever happened? Like, it's something really, Or is that just sort of like stuff of legends?
Yeah, but unfortunately not. Yeah. I think we've had a few. I had one guy, brought in an old Pepsi, but he knew what it knew what it was. I think he was testing us a little bit, and he was
Okay.
he was like, "Oh, if I wanted to sell this, like, what do you think?" And then they was like, "Oh, I'd have to check."
I guess these days, in the age of like being able to Google a brand name or a watch, it's a lot harder for people to be ignorant of what they have.
Yeah, it's probably more like the other way round. They'll come in and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm looking to sell it. It's worth loads." And you're,
oh yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
You might have paid a lot for it 10 years ago. But
there's not a lot of people.
Your quartz Longines, isn't it?
Yeah. There's not a lot of people walking in and be like, I don't know what this brand is. It says Patek Philippe. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've hit our hour mark. This has certainly been a lot of fun. Thanks for joining us, Sam. It was a good chat.
Yeah,
nice to catch up with you.
Yeah,
it's nice to catch up with you, especially not in just like a game show format, which we've been doing recently on Cottage Watches Live.
Yeah, it's a great channel, and it's nice having you on, and nice seeing Stephanie.
Really good to see you. I hope we'll get to see you again soon. Arthur and I do want to come to London and do
yes, please.
A little British watch tour. Arthur needs to finally meet Dan in person. So
that would be so cute.
They can have their Panerai Breitling fight in real life. Should be good.
The Panerai Breitling boutiques are pretty opposite each other.
Oh, really? Yeah. I actually haven't used it against him yet, but Dan's wife sent me a photo of him standing in front of the Panerai boutique, looking in the window, like pondering life. So we'll have to bring that up. Thanks.
Panerai boutique is nice as well. Actually, been to a few events there. Yeah.
Cool. No, I'll have to check that out. Stephanie, thank you. I'll see you in a minute upstairs.
Yes, anytime.
And and thanks everybody for joining. And I saw a couple of new names in the chat today, so welcome, and we hope to see you here next week. Hopefully Dan will be back as well. If not, we'll probably rope in Stephanie again. So cool. All right.
All right.
Thanks everybody. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.